wanted to take a look at some of the trees that we put in last year. Back here, we've got some pear trees, and we tried very hard to get a pair of pear trees that would pollinate each other the right way, because you can't just have one pear tree, you need two, and they have to be certain types. One is a pollinator, or one, So we have our two pear trees. We have, hang on here. Two pear trees. We have a Parker and a Summer Crisp, and they're supposed to be good for each other. Yeah, use either, it says right on the thing, use either Parker or Patton as a pollinator. One of these was extremely hard to find. You know, you go to your local nursery, or ours, in our case, it wasn't a nursery, it was a Fleet farm store. And they've got all these pears, it's the same kind. Same with seeds and things like that. You know, oh, look at this, it's perennial, whatever, or, you know, plant this right now. Well, it won't grow in your zone. It's not perennial, or, you know, it's all the same kind of pear. So it took us quite a bit to find that one to match this guy. But the problem being this winter was so bad with the drifting, and the rabbits had nothing to eat, and therefore they ate trees. And I didn't get back here. I didn't necessarily even think about it, to tell you the truth. That one has the little plastic protection on it, but this one did not. In any case, you can tell the snow was at least up to here, and then it just kept going. Like, you know, we're all the way up to 3 feet here where they've chewed. And this is called girdling, when they chew all the way around the tree. So 100% of this tree is chewed all the way around, and it's not going to survive. At the very least, if it puts on some buds, they might try this year, but they're not going to get very far. So we really need to just pull this out and replace it before we've wasted a whole summer of growing, you know, because you're not going to get fruit the first year anyway. So this one is a complete loss, and I'm kind of sick about it. And the one over here, I'm kind of erring on the side of caution, thinking that this one too is going to be a goner. And the only reason that they didn't get around this one 100% is because this stick was still on it. But we're at, you know, we've got to be at over 75% girdled on here. So I think it's probably done for. I mean, you know, and it actually had branches. It doesn't anymore. So this thing protected it up until that point. But then obviously when the snow got high enough that the rabbits could reach, they went to town. So we're going to have to replace these guys. And this year, I'm going to have to make sure I get these on it. Maybe as tall as I can get it. That one, you know, didn't have any branches till really low. And put some other protection around. I think what I'm really going to have to do is make a cage, and then really keep an eye on the snow. And as it gets higher than the plastic protection, come out and put the cage around, unless I can get some maybe hardware mesh or something tall enough to make a cage, you know, probably as tall as I am, if not taller, to cover this whole thing, because this is ridiculous. I'm really sad. They did do a number on our apple trees in the front, and I'll show you those too, but just for fun, here comes the chickens. They're happy to be out free ranging today. I'll tell you, my favorite thing about roosters is watching that guy run around from when the ladies split up into multiple groups, and you'll have like a group over here and a group way over there, and he will run frantically back and forth between the groups, trying to keep an eye on everybody, and it's pretty entertaining, I have to say. There you can look here, even on these, I think that's probably a plum. You know, they've got these spikes on them, and they still chewed all the way around those. Chewed the tops off of them, which some of that might be deer, but most of this, you can look over here too, it's just everywhere. chewed everything. It's sickening. I mean, this is all brush, you know. We've got a whole back here. It's all wild plums. Oh, this guy too. Oh, shoot. And this one, I like the plums on this one. This one has the biggest plums. So that is a bummer. This really needs to be cleaned up. It's a bit of a mess, but so all this is plums, wild plums, all the way back, and they spread a lot. Like any of the little things sticking up, that's all plum. So we're not short for plums, and they're just a little bitty, you know. You can like can with them and stuff. They're good to eat, but they've got most of the fruit is actually a pit. But they're pretty good. Oh, look at this. Totally. That is depressing. It's the rooster checking us out. Let's go up front and... Yes, we see you. Oh, he must be yelling at her in there. Yeah, let's go look at the apples. Someday I'd like to come through here and clean up a lot of this. See, this row straight down the way is all crab apples, and there's one big yellow variety, and these are all planted by my husband's grandparents, so I don't actually know what they all are, but some of those crab apples get some pretty big apples. Like I've picked some and made applesauce with them, and it's a pretty pink applesauce, but it's so overgrown with, you know, there's lilacs and there's, you know, other just random things, and the plums and everything, and so the only apples are like way at the top where they can actually get sun, so it's hard to get anything off of them. When they planted everything, you know, they did everything pretty close together, and generally then you want to keep everything pruned or else take down some of the in-between ones, but everything just kind of got grown over, and we've had some tree loss just in general. That big storm last year, we still have to get this one taken down. So here we are back up to the garden, and we put in this weeping pussy willow last Mother's Day, and the rabbits were starting to kind of chew on this, but it must not taste as good as other things because they didn't do too much. And at one point this whole thing was actually covered in snow, so it fared okay, and it's got the fun fuzzy willows on there. And then we've got two apple trees, which this is a Harrelson. I got one branch that's completely done, but and then this is like a sucker basically. I don't know if these have graft points but the rest of this one looks okay, so I think we're good. And this guy, and then this one, I don't even know what variety this is. This one got it pretty good. It's so short, it's hard to protect it too far up, but they mostly got branches, so at the very least, if we lose these three, maybe this fourth one, we've still got pretty decent, some of them, hopefully. I don't know, we'll see. But so these, I ended up, when I noticed that the rabbits were doing a number on them, I came out and I shoveled a hole all the way around. Of course, then, you know, it wasn't hours before the snow drifted back in there, but it helped, at least after I noticed it. But so that's the trouble with trees and the rabbits this year. I've heard from a lot of folks that the rabbits are out of control. So that is the tree situation for this year.